5, 4, 3,
2, 1.
March 15th, 2013. Plutocracy Now, Episode 5, Taking on the Banks. The banks are ridiculously important. They're why Occupy Wall Street started. I'm Tez Ricklin.
I'm Brisbane Bolger.
And Scott Brown.
I'm Joey Hornbuckle.
And I would like to first highlight a recent comment made by Attorney General Eric Holder. He was giving testimony on March 6th, and he admitted something. He admitted something that's taken years after the financial crisis for someone in a high level of government to admit, and that is that too big to fail banks still exist, and they are too big to jail. So that they are above the law. When they break the law, they cannot be prosecuted because, we're concerned about the systemic risk it could create to the economy. So his exact words were, I am concerned that the size of some of these institutions becomes so large that it does become difficult for us to prosecute them when we are hit with indications that if you do prosecute, if you do bring a criminal charge, it will have the negative impact on the national economy, perhaps even the world economy. And I think that that is a function of the fact that some of these institutions have become too large. He went on to say that there's an inhibiting impact on our ability to bring appropriate resolutions. Elizabeth Warren, God bless her soul, responded to Eric Holder's comment by saying, Attorney General Holder's testimony that the biggest banks are too big to jail shows once again that it is past time to end too big to fail. That's where I want to start this show off, and I'd like to get someone's reaction.
Well, my immediate reaction is that means that we are held hostage. We're being held hostage by the banking institutions in this country, and it seems like whenever the economy goes bad and everything goes wrong for the majority of people, the plutocrats at the top taking breaking profits, and we're left with the crumbs. This is worse than trickle-down economics. And for instance, right now, they say the job market is improving, but they don't say that the fastest growing job sector is leisure and hospitality. Why? Because rich people have more money and they need more people to service them. So it's like, what are we being left? We used to create jobs in this country like doctors and engineers,
manufacturing.
But now we need more people to service drinks and wait at tables. Massage therapists. So, what's going on? Are we gonna just sit idly by and let the plutocrats put us into a new form of slavery, paid slavery, if you will?
Serfdom. But yeah, there have been a couple. On top of what Eric Holder said, also Lanny Brewer. Lanny Brewer was the Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division of the DOJ during the, and so he was basically in charge of, going forward with prosecutions against, all these criminals. Honestly, what are banks? Banks are just giant criminal organizations now. They're the new mafia, but they have more power than that. But that's they have more power over our government than any mafia can. But the biggest cops in the country, the attorney generals says that there's too much risk, and let's see, who was it? Senators Grassley and Senator Sherrod Brown, they wrote a letter asking the DOJ. They asked them basically who was their source for basically who did they consult and how much did they pay them when they came to the conclusion that they couldn't prosecute the banks because it would create too much risk and basically... Yeah, because as soon as Holder admits this, it does raise a tremendous set of questions. So yeah, I did see that Grassley and someone else were on top of this, asking questions like, so how big do you have to be above the law? Things like that. I heard a moan, a grimace coming from, I think a Joey Hornbuckle, perhaps at the insinuation that bankers are corrupt criminals.
Not all that evil.
The idea that they're just corrupt institutions. But no, I'm not. I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that they're too big to fail or too big to sue?
Too big to jail. Too big to prosecute.
Too big to jail so because they're too big to fail.
They may have committed illegalities, but we can't prosecute them because if we do, the Dow Jones is gonna drop fucking 500 points.
But is that the case because it hurts the bank that much, or is that the case because the bank says it's going to be bad for the economy when in fact it's just bad for their bottom line?
Because economists have somehow dubbed these people too big to fail, therefore they're too big to jail, and if you do take actions against them, it'll have overall repercussions for the larger amount of society.
I don't buy that.
I don't either, because in the end it's gonna be worse for everybody, y'all. If we don't take action now and find these people.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how many tens of billions of dollars have we made banks pay?
More than that.
That's irrelevant to the issue.
No, but I'm saying, like, we've sued them for the mortgaging crisis stuff.
They're not too big to sue, but they're too big to jail.
A whole lot of stuff. So we've sued them for lots of money.
But basically, that's like, you know. Here's my analogy for that. It's like if I go steal somebody's car and you charge me $50 and let me keep the car. That's basically what's happening with Wall Street. I mean, they're getting. I mean, HSBC.
Drug laundering, money laundering.
How do you get any more criminal than that, dude? They worked with terrorists. They worked with narco cartels from Colombia to Mexico.
I know some of the employees who have a lot of autonomy there that they went out and did. Made some pretty sketchy deals, and of course you get sued for that kind of stuff.
But how are people in upper management not aware of these billions of dollars being illegitimately transferred?
Because that's how a bank is set up. You hire people that you think are doing a really good job based on previous results, and you say, "Here's a bunch of money. Go out and make me rich." Go make some investments.
But you still have to be held accountable.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that banks have been sued by so many billions of dollars.
That doesn't matter. That does not make people trust their justice system. There are millions of kids today that stood up in front of American flags and said, "And justice for all." Well, you know what? There's not justice for all. It's a lie. It's a myth. And it's made patently clear. And thank you for, 6 years later, the Attorney General finally admitted this. This is something you would say like maybe 6 months after a financial crisis, not 6 years.
And you know what? There was a banking crisis, a financial crisis in Iceland. You know what they did? They jailed the bankers who were corrupt, and they did not give them a bailout. And this may seem strange, and now their economy is improving. So our economy is improving too, but at the same time, we're not at the same. The average person in America is not at the same level of prosperity that they were before this crisis.
And I'll tell you,
do you see why I'm confused? Because you're making a direct statement saying that, well, these banks aren't getting sued, they're too big to touch, and in fact they are.
They're getting sued.
Somebody needs to go to jail, Joey.
Yeah, no one's saying sued.
So this isn't about money, it's about sending people to jail.
It's about justice.
Yes.
Because look, like you're missing the point.
No, in this case, now what cases are you talking about? Are you talking about outright criminal cases, or are you talking about mismanagement stuff?
I'm talking about criminal cases. Let me give you a story from this other country. In this other country, they had this banking crisis, and there were 1,100 criminal prosecutions of individuals involved in major banking fraud. There were 839 convictions of these individuals. And in total, the federal law enforcement in this country opened over 5,000 criminal investigations in this area because of referrals from bank regulators. Well, guess what? That was America. That was America after the savings and loan crisis. Joey Hornbuckle can't get a criminal prosecution. It's okay to sue them because it was just mismanagement.
But here's the problem with suing them. It's not an effective deterrent.
They have money to pay off their lawsuits.
Yeah, the thing is, like, look at HSBC.
Yeah.
They all those crimes we just listed, the money laundering for Iran, for Al Qaeda, for Mexican narco terrorists. They got charged probably a couple hundred billion or something like that. But it ended up being 5 weeks of profits for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still making more, even with these insanely huge fines.
Well, yeah, they're very big institutions.
Making a profit.
But it also
It's
goes
not
to
gonna
show
deter them
that
unless it puts
these
them in the red.
institutions are really big, and just because some of the people in these really big institutions are doing things that are blatantly illegal, that doesn't mean that everyone in the institution is doing things that are blatantly illegal.
We're saying that some of these people need to go to jail, and none of them are.
But there's a lot of
one
differences
person has
between
been
this crisis
arrested.
and the savings and loans crisis. They were caused by two completely different things. So to say that you're just going to throw people in jail because the financial system went down, that doesn't make sense.
Predatory lending is
Because I mean, who are you going to put in jail? You're going to put the bankers in jail, or you're going to put Alan Greenspan in jail? You're going to put George Bush in jail?
The people who did the people who did the actual transactions, the CEOs. I mean, everybody, the executives, everybody who knew about it or should have known about it or should have stopped that from happening or should have been at the top and created a culture and an institution and ran an institution.
They were just doing what they knew to be profitable.
Yeah, but it's profitable to sell crack. But that doesn't mean that's not a good justification in court.
Still gonna go to jail.
But what if crack is legal? But no, here's the thing.
But the thing is, it's not legal. Securities fraud isn't legal. Mortgage fraud isn't legal.
But they weren't intentionally.
Money laundering's not legal.
Predatory lending.
That's a tough one. That's a tough
Predatory
one
lending
because
is illegal.
There is no tough one. The incarceration rate.
It's hard to prove intent.
The incarceration rate in this country is the highest of any in the world. Yet if you're a banker on Wall Street and you crash the economy, you bring the entire economy to its knees, and millions of people lose their job, you're above the law. You're above the law.
Justice and
that's messed up. Because the thing is, the reason that America's banking system went down didn't go down because we had really terrible bankers. It was because we had a bad economic system designed by policymakers.
You can't you cannot you can't say that because
yes, I can. I just did.
Because when the mortgage bubble popped, it was the people who sold that bad debt and passed it off, they knew that this was going to happen. They knew by design that this is going to be bad for the economy, but it's going to be good for our pockets.
You know what? Honestly,
exactly, but other people bought it. That's the thing. That was a deal. That was a trade both people
But here's the
made.
thing.
That's a specific example. So Magnetar Capital.
Oh no! Hold on. Isn't that institution really corrupt? And didn't they get like? Because I remember hearing about them.
Specific example. Magnetar Capital knew, or they projected, or they thought that the market was going to go down with the mortgage market. So what they did was they found a fancy way to buy into the market. So they shorted a lot of these CDOs, all these big security pools of mortgages.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they shorted these things, but then they were working with banks and institutional investors, and a lot of these deals, like you can go read a recent ProPublica article, like a lot of these deals, like at least the Massachusetts state government has been going after them and suing. These aren't federal criminal prosecutions, but at least the Massachusetts government's been doing something. There are all kinds of shady deals where the people who bought these instruments were not told that Magnetar Capital, who was helping put the deal together, was shorting. I
mean, it's the same with Goldman Sachs. I mean, Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein was in front of Congress a couple years ago when they brought up the internal emails of the traders who said that this is crap, and they found a pink unicorn or whatever they called it. They called their marks or their investors.
But I mean, you do realize this is not a monolithic entity. There's lots of traders, lots of people making decisions in these companies.
Yeah, but I mean, there are also a lot of people.
Betting one way and some were betting another way.
They were run criminally. Like
that means there'll be a lot of different cases, Joey.
They were run to be like this. I mean, Countrywide was a criminal. Like basically, these mortgage lenders were cranking out these mortgages so that Wall Street could sell them. They were basically stating the demand that Wall Street had for thousands and thousands of these mortgages, so they could package them off, sell them, make money on the fees, bet against them, and then they'd get so wrapped up and so convoluted they wouldn't even know what their balance sheet really looked like in the end. Here's a lot of what we're talking about then, because we keep talking about betting on things. When we say betting on things, that's when companies are insuring things and somebody else is paying the financial company to insure that product.
Like the London whale.
So both parties are coming together and saying, yes, we want to make this deal. We think this is our best interest. So who's the criminal? The person who made that deal thinking...
The one who's not disclosing. The one who says, this is a safe deal. This is safe. I would bet on this. Like, this is good. This is AAA rated.
But that's the thing. Those agents did think that. Those weren't the same agents that were going out and selling the other things.
No, a lot of them were. I mean, like the Goldman Sachs, the one who said it was like a pile of crap. The one who Carl Levin, when he was reaming Lloyd Blankfein when he was in front of Congress. the trader said in his internal emails that like this is crap, and they would talk about it like it was a game.